There we go. Okay, guys, this is gonna be a crash course from me and Matt's last conversation. We had a little bit of issue with, the video and sound recording, so we're gonna touch on some, highlights from our last meeting. So you were saying getting, one of the biggest points, I think, is getting our local officials in the schools, the school in general and the CTE programs to let them know, hey, that this is our local government, this is how it operates, this is why you should vote, here's how the processes of these elected official office work.
Yeah.
Cause I was, I don't know, probably late 20s, early 30s before I realized that there was like that many elected officials within our local government.
Yeah. I think it'd be huge for, if you look at our county commission, if our county mayor could come by some of the classrooms every once in a while,
Yep.
The finance person, just to explain what the budget looks like at their level, what it goes to pay for, what the services across our county are there for, and what we provide our citizens. And I also think it'd be huge if we could partner with Rogersville City and do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Their city mayor, their board of aldermen come
Yep.
in and do the same thing, so that the students get to see what that structure looks like, what government's truly there for, what services it provides, how they can get involved, how important their vote is,
Yeah.
whether they live in the city or the county and they're voting on things. I think we can do a better job moving forward of really showing what local government does and what it's there for and how they need to be involved in that process.
Absolutely, because I mean that's one of my key things right now is transparency on how everything's working and like how me personally have shown who I am through the beginning of this election. I've videoed and written articles myself and tried to stay very engaged with everybody, as far as putting material out there, getting questions or statements from people, and then re-engaging. And I would like to do that, when I get elected to the mayor's seat, is to continue that, whether it's me or somebody in the office, that we designate time to a page for the offices, especially the mayor's office, and if I can get the other elected officials in on it, maybe they can be a part of that page or their own, but we would have a level of information that everybody has access to immediately, instead of, because I don't know if you've ever tried to look anything up through the government, but unless you got like 2 days and are ready to eat Cheetos and drink orange drinks and sit on your couch, your laptop, it's hard to find. It's there, but like I said, it's hard to find, and then
chances are the information's there, but it's just buried. It's a lot of governmental agencies, including the school system. We've spent 2 years going through our website just to try to make it, from a parent's perspective, from a community perspective, very usable and accessible. And it's hard because you got all this information. You've got the budget, you've got the structure, you've got different folks that cover different areas, and you've got to be able to get to that point very succinctly and efficiently. And it's hard to have that volume of information and make it to
well read.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have that many moving parts, it's like fighting bureaucracy. It's just like it's a big program, and trying to streamline it is definitely an issue for everybody, because I've literally sat in my on my couch for a day and a half through the night, typing and looking at minutes, and it's like, man, this stuff's here, but it's if you just want to find it, it's super it's not time contingent to find it, and
I do want to applaud you, not to side rail or sidetrack the discussion, but I do want to applaud you for making time to come and talk. There's a handful of candidates currently, and a handful of people that are in office now that have made time to talk with us in the schools and sit down and really get to know what's happening, what's going on, some of the whys behind the decisions. We stream our meetings, we have public meetings, but they're really low attended. So it's important for folks to get information firsthand and not to make judgments. I think it's telling for people that are both running for office and or that are in office that never make the time to have come and talk to the schools, the biggest
Yep.
employer in Hawkins County,
Yep.
the biggest entity.
Yep.
I would argue one of the most important, because we are dealing with our youth and
Yep.
our future.
Absolutely.
And yet, people only during election time, have something to say about the schools, and half of those folks have never come and talked to us, so.
Yeah, it's a key talking point, but they haven't invested any time into
Yeah.
actually figuring out what's going on, and that's what I've been doing. Obviously, I am doing what I can to make my way to voters, but at the same time, I'm also breaking that boundary and meeting with you. I've met with nonprofits throughout the county. The EMS, fire departments, and different entities. And the thing is, like, I just want to understand where they're at. I haven't promised them anything, and I've told them that. I sat down yesterday with EMS, and they told me that I was the first person that is running or was ever in office that's actually come in there and asked them what their needs are, what their goals are, and if there's any way that the county can work with them. He goes, and I was like, you're pulling my chain. He goes, one other person stopped in here to get paperwork to take to a commissioner's meeting. And I'm like, that is insane. And he's like, I've been in this position for almost 10 years, and the other two guys that are working with him, they're like, yeah, we've never seen this. And it's like, it tried to rattle my brain, because how am I supposed to understand and work for the community if I don't know what the community needs?
Yeah.
That's not fair.
It blows my mind that folks that are currently running have never stepped foot in this office.
Yeah.
Or in a lot of our offices in the county, and that's something I think that people need to be aware of. There are current members that are in elected positions that we frequently talk with.
Yeah.
There are some that are running that have made an opportunity or taken an opportunity to come and talk, but many on the ballot have not done so, and it's it always makes me wonder if we're not approachable, or if they're just not taking that opportunity. They're forming their opinions based on what others are saying.
Yeah.
But I do applaud you for
Well,
setting
I
up
appreciate
opportunities like this. Yeah.
I absolutely appreciate this. And you said, one of the biggest entities in the county, because we're dealing with our youth. That's one of the main reasons I'm running, because I have a child that's growing up in the community, and I want to make sure that his education after school, whether it's through Phipps Bend or vocational TCAP, or if he wants to go to college, and if he comes back to Hawkins County, that there's a scalable opportunity for jobs, for well-paying jobs.
Absolutely.
And what I've seen is the state has kind of stepped in and shown a few businesses that are possibly coming to Phipps Bend area, but I can't find enough information if that's actually, if the state and those businesses are welcoming well-paying jobs to our area, or they're just filling an empty seat just to say, hey, we created 300 jobs or 500 jobs, and it's not a scalable, livable wage for what we're dealing with now.
And I think that's huge. I do think you bring up a great point of the schools need to be involved in some of those behind the scenes discussions on industry coming in, to make sure that we're aware of the needs, the training needs for those future workforces. So if we've got an industrial partner through the industrial board that's seeking an opportunity at Phipps Bend, for example, we would like to know what those skills are needed, what skills are needed to be trained on, so that those students that are staying here, that are joining the workforce out of high school, or coming back from college, as you pointed out, or from a training school, have the skills necessary to stay here and be productive citizens in our area, and build the economy here, rather than taking their skills elsewhere. And fortunately, we've been included, the school system's been included in the industrial board conversations. We have a seat on the board. We're involved with chamber meetings. We have a seat on that board. We deal with local businesses and entrepreneurs all the time that are working here in the area. And we're plugging those students into internships and work-based learning, and it's been huge for us over the last 3 or 4 years. So,
and I've come to realize that the school system and the CTE programs are really pushing forward and looking into that, and the same thing with DCAT. I know they're not a part of the county, but they really are invested into the vocationals.
They're huge partners with us, though. You know,
Huge, huge.
Charles is doing great work out
He
there.
is, and along with Susie Cox.
Yeah.
And then, so you're talking about what they need. Along with this, I've actually stopped and asked businesses what they need. JTH, I was there the other day. I said, hey, is there a supervisor here? He's like, yeah, come on in, let's talk.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, what is the biggest problems that you face here in the county being able to run this and provide a service to the community and provide jobs? He goes, well, for one, skilled labor, which JTH, you know, that's definitely a blue collar job.
Yeah.
And he goes, we need pipe fitters. We need welders and pipe fitters that are qualified, that want to learn, that'll show up. So
we've had students placed with JTH as well as many others
Yeah.
there, but that's been he approached us several years ago, and that's the biggest thing. He echoed what a lot of employers are saying. We need to do a better job as a community in really teaching work ethic and responsibility.
Yeah.
We try through the schools, but that's an area
that's
where
a home-based issue.
we need partnerships with our parents on that, because we can only do
Yeah.
so much in the schools to
Yeah.
teach those responsibilities and those ethics.
Yeah,
When
because
you
then
say
if
you're
you
gonna-
come down hard on them, then you guys get backlash,
Correct.
and it's like,
Correct.
you know, obviously, you know, and as an educator, that's what your job is, to educate. So like when you cross that bounds, people do get aggravated, but
It's hard.
as a parent, you've got to understand that you're building the next, you know, you're building the next society.
Yeah.
You know, that next generation and the one after that. So
Yeah.
if we're giving our children everything without knowledge, intention, and that work ethic, then where are we getting? You know, because you know, you have children, I have children, or a child, and I look at him and I want to provide everything I can, but at the same time, I understand that I'm his father, and telling him no builds him. You know, it's not that I can't give it to him or don't want to, but it's, if I want to build the person that I see him being, I have to set boundaries with him and put expectations on him.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's got to continue all the way up. It's not just now, it starts from day one, and it goes through, you know, until, you know, he's into the world.
Correct. Yeah. And you're right. There are skill sets that we can't fully teach in the schools. We
Yeah.
can support our job on some of those soft skills and some of those things, those responsibilities that need to be taught in the home. Our responsibility is to support that and grow it.
Yep.
But you are right. Without parents' involvement and without those boundaries and expectations and structures being set in the home, it's very, very difficult to provide the workforce that's needed, because you need students that when they say they're going to show up, they show up. When they say they're going to be there for a shift, they're going to be there for the full shift, and they're going to work hard while they're at work and not slack off. And those are attributes that we look for through our CT program, and we try to only place those students that demonstrate those skills in our workplaces, because we need them to depend on our students.
Absolutely.
And it's an investment of time for them to train our students. It's an investment on our part to provide those students that are trainable.
Yeah.
And it's a hand in glove type of relationship.
Yeah, because when I was in high school, we had the co-op program, so you could go to welding, machine or industrial maintenance, I think, after the second period in high school. And it was dry. It was, back then was a huge push for college.
Yeah.
And I was in all honors classes, so I was dual enrollment for vocational and honors classes, but I just couldn't sit still. I still can't sit still. You know, and you got to understand, like you have to build like that work ethic in yourself, because nobody else is going to do it for you. To be able to push yourself into these jobs, because these are blue collar jobs, like the vocational.
Right.
And I mean, some of them are rougher than others, but at the end of the day, you've got to get up and you've got to push yourself to make sure that you're there. And if you know, through the Tennessee Promise now, if you get out of high school and you're able to get electrical or, you know, certification or welding or whatever, I mean, if you know how and you've got somebody that's willing to show you the steps, you can start your own business And I mean, you can come right out of the gate making 80,000+ a year.
Absolutely.
And it all depends on your work ethic.
Yep. Work ethic and your ability to be teachable are the two things that a lot of our employers have said, you know, if you can help with supporting those two attributes, characteristics of our students as they're graduating and coming into the workforce, work ethic, being responsible, and the second thing is being teachable.
Yep.
Learning while you go. If you're a hard worker, if you're willing to work hard and you're willing to learn, you're always going to have work. So
I catch myself, you know, with that sometimes. It's like being teachable. I really enjoy, you know, knowledge. You know, so if it's like if there's somebody in the room talking about something I don't understand, you know, I try to get to a position close to them to where I can understand it, you know, whether it's sitting towards the front of the room or sitting beside of them, or just
being able to see what they're doing,
introducing yourself and be like, hey, I'm going to be here, I'll be out of your way, but you know, I'd like the chance to just see what you're doing.
And that's our workforce development in a nutshell right there, is just providing those opportunities where students see that work in action to make sure that that's something they want to do, they have an interest in doing, and if so, here's how you do it.
Yeah.
Here's how you get started, here's how you progress, and here's how you move forward in that industry. So
well, here's something on a side note that I noticed with the AV clubs. So they have been broadcasting a lot of the
forums and
the local government committee meetings and everything like that. And I know a lot of people, the commissioners meeting a month and a half ago, where a lot of people were complaining that, you know, the video and audio was slow, which I don't think that the high school students were able to do that at the time, because I think they were out of school.
Right.
So all that was done with the phone. But this last forum, they were also still complaining a little bit on the audio lag, and it's just like, okay, you know, the local government's like, well, if we buy all that equipment, you know, it's going to cost X amount of dollars. I'm like, well, we've already invested so much of this money into, you know, Cherokee and Volunteers Audio Video Club. It's like, what's the next step to go get them lapel mics, or what is it, you know? Because if they're going to be the ones broadcasting it and you're supporting them, let's figure out what it takes to go, hey, what do you guys need? How can we clear this up? Because especially if you're doing it for the schools and doing it for, you know, the local government, why would you not want to make that investment for them to have the equipment that they need? And it's also providing pretty much a free service to the citizens of the county that's still helping out. It's helping out everybody in the county, schools, you know, citizens, and the local government.
You're absolutely correct. Without that club, we would have no streaming service, period. Because Jeff Bobo, when he was at the Kingsport Times News, was the one that used to stream that. So people forget that was a personal account that he used every commission meeting, every board meeting, every workshop, you know, that took place. He would stream on his Facebook, for example, and that went away when he retired. So our audio video club stepped in and said, you know, we want to broadcast local government and how that's in plays out in action. We want to be part of that. And Mr. Hensley at Volunteer, for example, his oversight of that club has been huge. But it's a club. At the end of the day, they have finite resources. We've made donations. He's Mr. Hensley and the group there has been really big on getting any kind of grants or donations. But at the end of the day, that's a prime example of a partnership that we're very interested in furthering, because it provides not only for the schools and those students to learn, but it also provides a service for the community.
And I think that's another part of that transparency, like going into this,
could be
is letting everybody know what programs the schools have now. I mean, I think that would be a huge help, because, you know, a lot of parents send their kids to school and then they ask their kids, well, what's going on in school? Whatever. And then, you know, if the parents don't know, you know, what's there, they don't know what to ask. You know, that's like a lot of these meetings I've went to, and I know this is a weird analogy, but it's just like, I don't know where they play badminton until like I started to get to play badminton.
Right.
You know, because there's been places and people I've met that I've been connected to through other people on this journey that I didn't know existed.
Right.
So I've had a few people that are like apprehensive about it. It's like, why are you here now? And it's like, I'm here now because I know you exist. And it's not that I had anything against this, but if I don't know that something's there, how can I try to help it? How can I assist it? How can I just go, you guys are head on and you're taking care of it yourself, and I'll let you do that. And if you need help, reach back out to us.
Yeah.
So a lot of that and the CTE programs, can you give us a quick list of some of them?
Oh yeah,
What we have?
Teaching as a profession. So there's an example of something that would require a degree, but it's still in the vocational area. So students that want to become teachers in the future actually do student teaching with us when they're in high school.
That's awesome.
They're mentored by our current teaching staff, and then they go on and get their teaching degrees and come back. So an example of CT that people wouldn't normally think. Nursing is in CTE. We've got CNAs graduating when they get their diploma. They're certified as a CNA. They're ready to hit the workforce as a certified nurse assistant. They can go on and get their LPN, RN, BSN, whatever they want to do beyond that. But that's another example. Then we've got our welders, our machine tool students. We've got a lot of construction students going through with basic framing, electrical, plumbing, basic knowledge that they can take to TCAT or they can take to the workforce. We've got a lot of different programs that the thing is that we could list all of the programs, but there's so many nuances within construction. For example, somebody may want to go into framing, somebody may want to go into just the
electrical roofing,
but we provide that base and then the solid foundation for those workforce placements are huge for us. So they get into this construction field. They may say, you know what, I was leaning toward framing, but I really like the concrete work and the concrete finishing better than I like the framing. So then we kind of help them tailor toward getting that support. So.
Well, and I mean, that doesn't just go along with getting a job. That helps you. That helps you in your life skills.
Absolutely.
So I mean,
as a dad, I use those every weekend. Right.
Yeah. So I don't know how many people lately have had work done at their home, but
it's hard.
I mean, well, it's hard to find somebody.
Can't find it.
And then if you find good work, it's costly. So.
And sad to say, some people just don't show up. You make an appointment for people to show up and do some work or help you out with something, and there's no show. So
and that's an offset living cost as well, because right now our median income for a household in Hawkins County is $56,000, $28,000 pretty much per person, and then you're talking about either renting or possibly buying a home. Median house income or price of a house right now is $275, and that's middle of the road. That's the working basis of our community.
Correct.
That's not the low end or high end. That's the meat and potatoes of the county. And so if you're looking at making $28,000 a year, and then you're looking at a $275,000 house, and say you're slightly above that and you do get a home, and if you do have some of these skills and going, hey, I was able to save $3,200 because I was able to do this myself. So that's almost like you being, you're getting a $3,200 bonus at the end of the year because you've built those skills up to be able to offset that. And that's what's helped me with what I do at my home is because I can run equipment, I can drywall, I can paint, I can do it all. So that adds value to my lifestyle at the end of the year. It's not super coming out of my pocket. Materials will always be what they be. But if you can do that, that's adding value back to yourself and your home, and so many different factors down the road.
I'm a firm believer in that. We have flipped several houses as a family in different states, including here when we first moved here, and we took homes down to the studs, and my boys and my girls were working right beside me, and they've got skill sets because of that experience to last them into the future. I just had my oldest son get married, and he's been able to do his pantry and some refinishing in his old home that he and his new wife have because of the skills he's learned, and he's an electrician. All three of my boys are in the trades right now because of what they've learned growing up. It doesn't mean they won't go to college in the future or do something else, but they've got options. And even if they just use those skills personally in their own homes in the future, they're saving a lot of money and a lot of resources because of that training. So
the first house, so my dad was a union painter in Chicago. He went through Washburn Trade School for painting and paper hanging, and did that. He painted the skyscrapers, the outside, inside, the whole 9 yards, and then he became a Chicago firefighter. Then we moved down here. My dad, my aunts and uncles, they didn't want the kids growing up in Chicago like they did, so they moved back here where my grandpa was originally from in '89. But as I got older, I think I was 11. The first house that I painted was actually the house I live in now. It's my grandparents' house.
Really?
So I bought that off of them.
Yeah.
But I look back at my dad. He just gave me a little paint pail and a brush, and he's like, "I want you to paint all this baseboard, and I don't want you to get any paint on the carpet. No tape, no drop cloths." Dad was old school. I mean, he could flat paint. He still can. I mean, that's what he does for a living. And I'm down there. I'm like pressing down on the carpet, cutting it in, make sure it's not overlapping on the wall.
Right.
And and I knew Dad back then. My dad, he's softened over the years. So but back then, I'm just making sure I'm not getting any paint on it. But I mean, at the time, was that something that I really wanted to be doing at 11? No, not really. But now, I mean, in the future, from that point, it's provided me, a lot of income.
Yeah.
And it's not bad work.
No.
A lot of people hate painting, but once you figure out the gist of it, and that's what you do, you can roll on with it.
And once you learn a skill, you may need to practice it from time to time, but once you learn it, that's very valuable investment in the future.
Tile. I did the first set of tile I ever did. I was working full time doing construction. I'd never really done any tile, but I hired a guy to do tile. So I would come home and there'd be like 2 or 3 pieces of tile down, and I'm like losing my mind. So I'm a pretty picky person. So this goes on for like a week, and I'm like, okay, I've had enough. So I get home and I'm like sitting on the couch, and I'm like, you know what? Done with this guy. So I take all of his tools, and like 1 o'clock in the morning, I set him out in his yard. I get this big long text the next morning. "Oh man, I'm sorry, things going on." I was like, "Don't worry about it, I'll take care of it." So then I went and bought all my own tile tools. And if you do tile for a living, bless you, that's nothing I wanted part of. I eat through like 3 of my fingers, and I didn't understand that there was a certain type of pain when you take off, like 5 layers of skin. But no, anyways, so getting back to it, I think getting a program to where our local officials can integrate into our school path, our CTE paths, just to get them to understand. It's like, hey, this is here. It's always going to be here. And if you want to be involved, the sooner the better.
I agree. I think that's a huge step toward education. A well-rounded education is showing what government is there for, how to get involved, what their roles are, and who knows, in the future, somebody like yourself that has gone through the school system says, you know what, I want to be involved, I want to make a difference, or I don't like what's going on. Here's how I can get involved, and here's what I can do going into politics or going into some sort of that support. So I do think, just going back to education too, for years and years we single track students toward university and toward secondary schools. I'm not against that. I support that 100%. At the end of the day, I want students to make that decision and be prepared to do whatever they want to achieve, whether that's in the workforce, whether that's in the military. We've got a number of people that'll be recognized at this upcoming graduation that have already enlisted or have plans to enlist over the summer. My hat's off to them. I have no higher respect than for those that are going into the armed forces out of high school or whenever. So we've got a group there. We've got those that are going into the workforce, and then we've got those that are going to go on to college, and we want to support any and all choices that those students make come out of high school, and make sure that they're prepared to make those choices. It's their choice, it's their future, but are we doing our best to really support them in making sure that they're successful given that choice?
Absolutely. And I'm gonna add to that, and providing that in this county.
Yes.
So our secondary schooling, after high school, whether it's, I know we don't really have a college base here, but if you want to go on to,
we're close enough to Walter State, Eastern Tennessee.
But if you want to go through and get an engineering degree, or if you want to continue your nursing or anything that requires the college courses, to come back and go, hey,
Correct.
this is where I grew up, this is where I wanna stay. I think I wanna continue building a family here instead of going, well, I'm kind of forced to go to Kingsport or Johnson City. Then after you drive there for a while, it's like, man, this is getting old. So then they just move.
Correct.
And then, we lose other residents, the parents and grandparents. It's like, well, my grandkids are here. So, it's also providing that within our county walls,
Correct. We want them to come back here, and we want those jobs to exist so they can come back here. And that's where we really see the school being an integral part in that workforce development. And I'm very thankful for the industrial board. I'm really thankful for the Chamber of Commerce. But I think there's some additional things we can consider in the future as this grows, and as our valley grows. There's going to be more demand for making sure that those going into the workforce or coming back from university have those jobs, those sustainable jobs here, where they want to grow up and where they want to raise their family.
And I'm going to clarify this because a lot of people they jump to the far end of the pitchfork rant. Is when I mean scalable, it's providing jobs for the kids that's graduated, year in and year out. It's not bulldozing farms.
No,
it's not.
No.
But we have designated areas for industry growth.
And there is a balance that needs to exist. You're right.
Absolutely.
And we get that as well. We want to preserve the heritage that's here and the farms. We raise cattle on our property now, so I mean we want to preserve that. We don't want to see every ounce of land taken up by a business or a big box store.
Because I got 40 acres myself. That's so when we say that the scalable growth, it's like we're just trying to provide for what's coming in and out of our county.
That's correct.
That's the gist of it, and we have plenty of areas for that. I think I may be wrong on this, but I think we're the third largest landmass county in the state. So, I mean, we have the areas designated for that type of situation.
And one of the largest is our neighbors in Green. So I mean, between Hawkins and Green, there's a lot of area that could be, with the fine balance, really developed to provide those additional opportunities while preserving the agriculture and the land that's part of this heritage. So
And by all means, I mean, we've got a lot of family farms, and I want to see them continue.
So do I.
That's I don't plan on going anywhere. I'm not a big city person. I don't like traffic. So
scalable is a good word. It's got to be balanced. There's got to be a balanced approach to preserving what has made Hawkins County, while providing those opportunities for students and children that want to come back and raise their own kids here. Having those opportunities there.
I want to get back to a point to where we can look at our elected officials and our sheriff's departments and our police departments and our committee members or board mayor or aldermen. When people see them, it's a respectable service that you provide for the county. So it's just like, hey, these people are here to help us, and we see that they've been transparent enough. They might not do everything that we, as in my own opinion, want them to do, but I believe that they have the cities and the county's
best interest.
So because every time everybody sees a cop, they go, the first thing they do is look at their speed, their seatbelt, and it's just like I want to take that back and then take back the political look of it. I don't want to ever be considered a politician. I'm just I'm a concerned dad, a community member that wants to be better for myself, be better for the community, grow it, and then provide future solutions to things that may arise.
Well, I can't disagree with that. I applaud you for your efforts, and thanks for coming and being willing to sit down with me.
No, I'm sorry that the first one's got skewed, but no, and I've told a lot of people that I've met, because I've tried to continue to stay connected. I don't want to feel, cheap in the sense of like, here, enough to handshake and walk away. Like, I want to continue to stay engaged with everybody that I've met on this journey.
Sure.
That's from the nonprofits, that's from the schools, that's from the fire departments, everybody involved. And if there's people that I've forgot or just haven't, reached out to in a while, I welcome them to say, hey, there's something that's arose, in the last month,
Sure.
Can we talk about it? I don't want to ever get to the point where they feel like they can't come to me and at least talk, because I mean, like I've mentioned in other videos, I'm willing to talk to anybody, and at the end of the day, we might not agree on anything, but if we have two like minds that are working towards a goal, I don't see how we can't find that.
Right.
The mentality of, truly, open conversation means a lot,
Sure.
One of my posts, I've heard the term open door policy, and it kind of aggravates me, because like, if that's my job to be, a leader in the community, guess what? I can go right back out that door myself and go to these people, and these businesses and the schools, and, and reach back out, because if they're on a time constraint for their job, and then they've got kids' ball practices, or, work a second job, I understand how it would be difficult for them to, come engage me in the hours that I'm there. But if I'm like, hey, if I can make a bulletin, for this week, and it's like, hey, these are the places and entities that I'm gonna reach out to this week, and I'm gonna go engage with them. We'll set up a list and go, that's where we're at in the county. And then we'll have, obviously, times that I'll have to be in the office. But I want to be continually engaged in the community, not just, there.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be, I don't want to be a door sign, I don't want to be a name on a desk, I want to be a name of the community. If somebody needs me, hey, this is what we're going after.
Well, I think you're living that out. I really appreciate your willingness to come and ask for a sit down with the school system here, and I hope you've seen that we're trying our best to provide a lot of opportunities within a very tight budget.
Yeah.
But the good news is we've got a lot of community support, and I appreciate all the parents and the community support that we do have, and the work behind the scenes that make the school system truly great.
Yeah, and even if I don't get elected, if there's something that we can get together on down the road, and maybe provide one of these services, or classes or something that we've talked about to get people involved.
Absolutely.
I don't know what that would entail, but I would be open for it for sure.
There's a number of ways we can make that happen on our end. We just need willing participants on the other end. So
I understand.
Yeah, we can definitely set that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that you have a busy day ahead of yourself, and I need to go finish up some paperwork
Okay.
myself.
All right.
Matt,
Thank you.
absolutely,
Good
it's
to
been
see you.
great.
Yep. Thanks for coming by.
No problem.